Joining us now from Monterey, California is Leon Panetta. He's chairman of the Panetta Institute for Public Policy, part of the California State University. Secretary Panetta has held just about every important post in the legislative and executive branches of the U.S. government, including 8 terms as a congressman, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, chief of staff to President Bill Clinton, and most recently both director of the Central Intelligence Agency and Secretary of Defense under President Barack Obama. So, Mr. Panetta, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, for joining us. That's quite a list. It exhausts me just to read it, actually, to be frank with you. But let's start with this cybersecurity issue. I don't remember a time when we've had this much talk about cybersecurity, certainly involved in an election. We have those allegations the Russians may have gotten access, although Mr. Trump and the Russians deny it, to sensitive information. We have the reports that the Russians may have tried to interfere with our presidential election here. We also have the Hillary Clinton incident with the private server. So the question is this so prevalent because it is that big a problem right now?
I think it's the battlefield of the future, if you want to know the truth. I think cyber attacks are going to continue to increase. The capabilities in countries are continuing to develop. Countries like Russia, Iran, China, North Korea are all going to continue to use cyber attacks in coming at the United States. So what we're seeing happening, particularly with the Russians, but we've also seen China be able to get intellectual capital by virtue of using cyber capabilities. North Korea has gone after industries in this country using cyber, and Iran has crippled computers. Aramco Oil crippled almost 25,000 computers were crippled by the use of a sophisticated virus. So what we're seeing happening with the Russians and what we see happening with these other countries, I think is going to continue to escalate in the future. It's something we've got to be aware of and we've got to defend against.
So, Mr. Secretary, you mentioned the Russians. How confident can we be? You've been in the room when the intelligence agencies have said, we know this is what happened. How confident are we? Particularly because the president-elect has said, really, we're not so sure.
When you get 17 intelligence agencies that unanimously agree that Russia was involved, that the orders came from the highest levels in Moscow, including Putin, I think that has a tremendous amount of credibility. I guess I was pleased that the president, at least president-elect, recognizes that Russia was involved in this hacking. I would hope that we could begin to see a more trusting relationship between the new president and the intelligence agencies. He's going to be the next president of the United States. His first duty is to protect this country. And very frankly, he cannot protect this country unless he's able to rely on good intelligence and has a trusting relationship with those agencies.
So let's go exactly there, because I don't think there's been a time in history when the president has this public disagreement. Repudiation, I think it's not too strong a word to use, of the intelligence agencies. Have there been these kinds of rifts in the past behind the scenes we just haven't known about?
Well, in the past there have always been questions raised about intelligence. That's nothing new. Presidents that I've worked for have questioned the credibility of intelligence. That's legitimate. But those questions are usually raised in the confines of the Oval Office, where they should be. And if the president raises questions, the intelligence people have the responsibility to respond to those questions and be able to determine whether or not the information we're getting is credible or not. We have never had a situation where a president-elect tweets out questions about the integrity of this kind of intelligence information. That's unheard of, and very frankly, I think it's damaging to the credibility of that information. It's damaging to the morale of the people that do that work in the intelligence agencies, and I think it invites our enemies to take advantage of it. So I hope that he can move away from that and try to deal with whatever concerns he has in the confines of the Oval Office.
Well, and to be specific, he tweeted out accusing that it was politically influenced, the information to be given, and even compared it to some tactics used by Nazi Germany. So this is pretty strong language. At the same time, there are those who have suggested in the past that perhaps the intelligence agency have been subject to political influence. We had that with the WMT information that Colin Powell, the Secretary of State, used in front of the UN. So how far-fetched is his claim that there might be some political influence on the intelligence information?
Well, you know, when you've got, as I said, when you've got 17 agencies, all of whom have responsible directors, as far as I know, when they come together and agree on an issue like Russian hacking and trying to influence and interfere in our election process, it's pretty clear that that evidence is real and it's something we need to take seriously. I don't think political influence was involved in their determination. Now, is politics sometimes involved in the way intelligence is gathered? Of course, that's happened in the past, and it's something that you have to be very careful of because, frankly, the point of intelligence agencies is to present the objective information to the president, not to present what that president wants to hear, not present what is politically, something that would be an advantage for one party or the other, but present the truth. There is a statement on the wall at the CIA at Langley that says, the truth shall set you free. And that's what the intelligence agencies are supposed to be about, the truth.
So someone who hopes to be the next director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, a congressman like yourself, is going through confirmation right now. Put yourself in his shoes right now going into that job. He has to build bridges, obviously, to his boss, his new boss, Donald Trump. At the same time, he has men and women in the CIA who are sometimes putting their lives on the line. How does he, at the same time, reach out to President-elect Trump when he's president and also convince his people, his men and women, that he has their back?
Well, that's going to be the challenge that the director faced. I faced the same challenge, which is that you have got to gain the trust of the people that work there. Look, they're not Republicans, they're not Democrats, they're good Americans. These are patriots who really are professionals, who look at their job as something that is extremely important to protecting our national security. So the key is for the director to be able to build a relationship of trust with the team that he has at the CIA. Tell them that he's going to protect their back. Tell them he's going to be honest with them and he expects them to be honest with him. And if he can build that kind of relationship, the product of that in terms of intelligence will be the truth, will be intelligence that will be important to the president. And then I think the director has to build a relationship of trust with the new president. The president cannot just walk away from the intelligence community. We live in a dangerous world with ISIS, with Russia, with China, with North Korea, with cyber attacks. The president, if he's going to deal with those kinds of challenges, he's got to have good intelligence. Otherwise, he will not be able to do the job of protecting this country.
Finally, Mr. Secretary, you also had the job of Chief of Staff to President Clinton. What advice would you give to Reince Priebus as he goes in? He's got a fair number of people now, a growing list of pretty strong-willed people. How is he going to herd these cats?
Well, he's going to have a challenge. As Chief of Staff, I'm a believer in what I call the Jim Baker rule, which is there's only one Chief of Staff. And everybody should be responsive to that Chief of Staff. And I also believe in a strong chain of command where people have specific duties and they report to key people. They're not out there wandering on their own. The danger I see here is that the president is appointing a number of advisors. He's appointing a number of consuls. These people have broad titles. I'm not sure what their responsibilities are. And if these people are just wandering around the White House, going to meetings but having no responsibility, then it's going to become quite a challenge to try to be able to discipline that staff to work specifically for the president.